Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Renee Box Young. This is a platform where we simply discuss, critique, and analyze, and simply talk about the sport of boxing in a level-headed, mature fashion, coherently. You know what it is here, man. Definitely. Subscribers since day one, recent subscribers. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Definitely, man, from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you all. And I thank you guys so much, for rocking with me in the flash lives, the premieres of my videos, tuning in real time. That's why hit the notification bell so you know when I do these flash lives. I go out of nowhere, just spontaneously. I do lives, just like a lightning pass, out of nowhere. So that's how I do it. That's how I do it, So definitely, man. If there are any new listeners, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, okay? So I want to get right to this, man. Definitely concerning Virgil Ortiz. Everybody knows, he's about to fight Aegis Kavalauskas. I finally, after so much time, kind of somewhat pronounce his name right. I'm horrible with these names sometimes, the European names out there, but, mad respect to Mean Machine. So it's funny, man, because I didn't know this, okay? Something I didn't really know concerning Virgil Ortiz. He explained, and I'm going to leave the link in the description to the video. If I'm not mistaken, it's from Fight Hype. They were interviewing Virgil Ortiz in the gym. And he was being questioned about some things, and I had no idea about this. I had no idea, man. And, the thing here is that, I've said it time and time again when it comes to sport of boxing, and when it comes to just the generation we're living in, this digital era, it's just, information about everything is just rampant. It's all over the place, every second, every minute. Same thing with the sport of boxing and in all aspects, concerning subject matter. And I had no idea about this. I didn't know. I had no idea. I think I heard it from here. I just don't remember because there's so much information. Virgil Ortiz, he was being questioned. He was asked, certain things, whatever, right? About, his fight against Hooker. And, the person there who was recording said something like, boxing fans out there, they're quite prone to criticize or whatever. And talking about he was getting touched up a lot. Now, I've mentioned it time and time again, man. I talked about how, concerning Virgil Ortiz's last performance against Hooker, shouts out to Hooker, man, great fight. How Virgil Ortiz was, struggling in defense. He was getting hit a lot, and the whole community saw it. Boxing fans out there saw it and talked about that. And I personally think defensively, Virgil Ortiz, he was being left open quite a bit in that fight. And I've talked about it, and I said, if he fights like that against Mean Machine, I'm sure I talked about, I don't remember which session, it was a live session or something. I talked about how I'm sure Virgil Ortiz, he grew from his performance that he had against, that he gave against Hooker. I'm sure he grew, and he should be better, against Mean Machine. If not, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be really dangerous. And it's funny because Virgil Ortiz started saying that, he was coming off of a coronavirus, man. And I didn't know that. Now, I want to say something here. When it comes to certain fighters, man, you can kind of sense, you can kind of detect they're quite honest and 100. Virgil Ortiz is one of those guys. I personally think Virgil Ortiz, he's not the type of guy to be lying, to media. He's real humble. I like Ortiz, man. I really like his personality, and I dig his approach when it comes to the sport of boxing because he just wants to fight the best out there. He wants to prove, he wants to prove it. And the sad thing here is this. Several things that come to mind, man. Several points I want to talk about that. I've said it time and time again, man, when it comes to Virgil Ortiz. He's in Golden Boy. Oscar De La Hoya is his promoter. This is a sad thing. I kind of think about this. Who knows, right? I might be proven wrong. Whatever. It's fine. I hope so. I hope so. I kind of think that Oscar De La Hoya, after a certain period, after fighting these guys, these competitive matchups, that Virgil Ortiz is fighting, has been fighting lately in Samuel Vargas, in Hooker, and now in Mean Machine, I don't think Oscar De La Hoya is going to put him in the ring with these top champs. I don't know, and everybody knows it. I don't want to overkill it. The projection, what's projected with, Errol Spence, if he's going to move up to 154 soon or what have you, after fighting Pacquiao. Who knows who's gonna fight after that? Maybe Ugas. I don't know. Bud Crawford, blah, 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 okay? But I don't think, man, that Oscar De La Hoya is gonna put Virgil Ortiz in the ring with Spence, with I'm not so sure with Porter. You know, I just don't think he's going to do that. I think Oscar De La Hoya is going to kind of protect him. You know, I've talked about this. I broke this down. But it's not because of Ortiz, though. You know, it's those who are in charge of, you know, his career or what have you. And I think that's the sad part. I think Virgil Ortiz really does want to prove statements in the sport of boxing, you know, and he has been. And I think he wants to prove statements with these top champs. Okay, and that's the sad thing about it. And I just dig his approach. I dig Virgil Ortiz's approach, and I don't think he's the type of guy to be making excuses and lying about things. Okay, and you know, and what caught my attention is that, you know, Virgil Ortiz explained in that interview that in the lead up to the Hooker fight, you know, Hooker moving up from 140 to 147, you know, first fight at 147. It was a great fight though. I mean, Hooker put up a fight. That Virgil Ortiz was approximately 70%, you know, for that Hooker fight. And he wasn't, you know, his full self in the ring. And in training camp also, because in training camp, approximately around that time, check it out, link in the description, you check the details, okay? But around that time, he had COVID. And, you know, he wasn't training 100. The sparring partners, he didn't have any. He didn't spar much at all. He didn't spar much at all for the Hooker fight. It connects, you know what I'm saying? Because when I saw that fight, man, I mean, my assumption was this. He was just trying to prove a statement too much. And that's why he was leaving himself wide open. He was kind of desperate to prove a statement to the world and blah, blah, blah. But now that I heard this, it made me think twice. You know, I mean, because when you go back, to the Samuel Vargas fight, man, Ortiz, you can tell the big differences. You can tell. I know styles make fights, yeah. But, you know, generally speaking, you can tell, man, he was using the jab wonderfully. He was sharp. He was in his A game, man. Virgil Ortiz was in his A game against Samuel Vargas. Vargas, you know, I respect the guy, man. That guy has a chin, man. That boy, he was taking punches and, you know, the crisp right hands, the nice, beautiful jab that Ortiz, you know, body shots, hooks to the body, so fast. You can tell there was a big difference, man. I can say there was a big difference between the Samuel Vargas fight and the Hooker fight. And I think this is the reason why. You know, Virgil Ortiz was saying that he didn't really spar, you know, in the lead up to the Hooker fight. You know, and he felt like crap. You know, when he was, you know, training, he had no energy really. I mean, you know, if you haven't had the virus, man, then you don't really cannot relate to what Virgil Ortiz is saying. I mean, I'm not a doctor, freaking, you know, I don't know, but I know that, you know, coronavirus, man, it affects people in different ways concerning symptoms or what have you. Some people are asymptomatic or whatever, but you know, it drains you, man. It drains you, and it takes time to recover. And Virgil Ortiz said shortly after, you know, he was, you know, he popped negative. You know, he was positive for a minute, whatever, and he kept training. He tried, you know, and then eventually he was cleared, you know, to fight Hooker. And he said even at that time when he was cleared and when he was in the ring, he wasn't 100. Now, it's been said, man, that, you know, from some fighters or what have you, it's been said out there that no fighter comes in the ring at, you know, 100%, you know. However, this is different, you know what I'm saying? I personally think this is different. You know, I think Virgil Ortiz really wasn't, you know, 100% Virgil Ortiz when he fought Hooker. And like I said, I personally thought that it was, you know, he was just trying too much to prove a statement against Hooker. He was just trying to prove the world, you know, that I'm here and I want to make a statement. I personally think, you know, Virgil Ortiz, he's telling the truth, man. I think the coronavirus and the lead up to the Hooker fight really affected him. Because, like I said, when you go back, it was beautiful. Virgil Ortiz, I think that was one of his best performances, man, against Vargas in his career, in my humble opinion, okay? Because it was just, he was sharp. Yeah, I mean, you know, on the inside, I think he can improve certain things on the inside, you know, in his inside game when it comes to defense. But generally speaking, man, Ortiz was crisp. He was fast. He was just putting a beating on Samuel Vargas. You know what I mean? I think that Virgil Ortiz, he's gonna perform well, very beautifully against Mean Machine, because in that interview, he talked about, you know, it's totally different now. He said, you know, it's totally different. Now he's, you know, in this training camp for Mean Machine, he's just, you know, he's 100%, he's ready, you know, all systems go. He's sharper, faster, etc., etc. A big difference from, you know, as opposed to his training camp for the Hooker fight. The danger factor still remains concerning Mean Machine. But I personally think, man, that Virgil Ortiz, I think, is going to give a wonderful performance. That's another point I want to talk about here. I think Virgil Ortiz is going to give just a beautiful performance against Mean Machine. Virgil Ortiz's aggression is very channeled. Go back to the Vargas fight. And I get it, the Hooker fight, but we got to understand, you know, he was coming off a coronavirus. That's no joke. You know, that virus, it drains you. And I repeat, man, those who haven't gone through that, you probably don't really know what it is. But imagine training for a fight, man. I mean, I can only imagine the exhaustion and training for a fight. You know, I understand now why Ortiz performed like he did. Go back to the I mean, when he fought Vargas, channeled aggression. The jab was wonderful, you know. The body shot, he's fast. Virgil Ortiz got speed, man. You know, and I personally think that when he fights Mean Machine, I think he's gonna show what he did against Vargas. Yes, I repeat, styles make fights. Yeah, we know the story. But, you know, Mean Machine, he's more of that flat-footed type, power puncher, you know, doesn't use his footwork too much, defensively speaking. Ortiz, I think, has better footwork than Mean Machine. And I think Ortiz is gonna use it to his advantage, okay? Defensively speaking. I think Ortiz is gonna perform somewhat like he did against Vargas. You know, the channeled aggression, the speed, you know, the feints. He used some nice feints in that fight, if you pay attention. You know, the subtleties. If you pay attention to the subtleties, you know, and Ortiz's craft and what he does in the ring, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Defensively, he has to watch out, though. I just don't think, this is the point I want to emphasize, I just don't think he's going to lack the defense that he did against Hooker. That's what I want to clarify here in this video. And there's a reason to why he lacked defense, and he looked how he looked when he fought Hooker. Had Ortiz not had the coronavirus, you know, in the lead up to the Hooker fight, I think he would have performed a lot better. And I think he's going to prove that against Mean Machine, ladies and gentlemen. I think he's going to prove that. Of course, the danger factor remains concerning, you know, Mean Machine. The power, you know, he has to watch out for the power, but I just think that, you know, Virgil Ortiz has the skills and tools, you know, to outwork Mean Machine, and I think that's what he's going to do. I think that's what he's going to do. He's just going to outwork him, man. I mean, go back to the Vargas fight. Oh my gosh, he was putting a beating on him with the speed, the jab, the hooks to the body, you know, the overhand rights. I mean, the right hands. Wow, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I said earlier, Vargas has a chin, man. He was taking a beating. He was taking a beating, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I'm not necessarily saying that Virgil Ortiz will put the same beating, you know, to Mean Machine as he did to Vargas, but I think it's maybe going to be similar. I think it's going to be similar, and I think that Virgil Ortiz is going to be the 100% Virgil Ortiz. I really do. I really do. Now, I've said this before, man, you know, concerning Virgil Ortiz and post Mean Machine. If he gets through Mean Machine, that's why I say that. That's what I'm saying. You know, Virgil Ortiz is very humble, man. He says, if I beat Mean Machine, and he has to watch out, man. Don't overlook Mean Machine, and I don't think he is. Now, one of the things he said, and I made a video, if I remember correctly, I made a video about it. He's talking about the reason why he's taking this fight is because Bud Crawford suggested it. You know, because Bud Crawford says something along the lines of, you know, go fight Mean Machine. He was like saying that to Ortiz or whatever, on Instagram, whatever, social media, I don't know. And that's the main reason, if I'm not mistaken. He said in that interview, you know, link in the description, check it out. Or Virgil Ortiz is saying that's why he's taking Mean Machine fight. And because it's a competitive fight, etc., etc. And he talked about, you know, if he gets past Mean Machine, he wants to fight Bud Crawford. Now, let me show you this. Let's go to the rankings real quick, okay? I just want to show you this real fast. I showed this the other day in that video that I'm talking about, the last video, if I'm not mistaken, that I made about Virgil Ortiz. But when you go to the WBO rankings, Terrence Crawford, obviously top champ, whatever. Okay, so number 1, we see here. Let me just zoom that in for you. Virgil Ortiz is number 1 here, man. You see that? So Virgil Ortiz is number 1. I talked about this the other day, you know, and I pushed the ranking system here or whatever. Sean Porter's number 2. WBO ordered Sean Porter to fight Terrence Crawford. I humbly think Porter is a more competitive fight for Crawford, and I think that was a great move for the WBO to order Sean Porter versus Crawford. So as you can see, Virgil Ortiz is number 1 in the WBO, and Virgil Ortiz in that interview talked about he wants to fight Crawford after Mean Machine. You know, I just don't think I mean, this is what I gotta say. I just want to see how he performs against Mean Machine, because now I'm reconsidering Virgil Ortiz. Because I talked about how he performed against, you know, Hooker. I'm not so sure he's ready. I don't think he's ready for Bud Crawford. I've said it. But now that he has explained the why he performed like that against Hooker, I understand it more. You know what I mean? I understand it. I want to see how he performs against Mean Machine. If Virgil Ortiz performs in a beautiful fashion as he did against Vargas to a certain degree, like I said, styles make fights, yada, yada, yada. I know the story. But if he performs to a certain degree as he did with that channeled aggression, those crisp shots, the jab, you know, using his footwork, the pivoting, and just what he brings to the ring and what he generally brings to the ring, I think he might be ready for Bud Crawford. I'm just not so sure of that yet. It just depends, man. Let's see how he performs against Mean Machine. I guess we can make this a prediction video, whatever, right? But I think he is, Virgil Ortiz, he may TKO Mean Machine. I think he can, man. He does have the ability to do that. I really do. But we'll just see, man. It's going to be a great fight. I got Virgil Ortiz winning. He has to be careful, but he has the tools. He has the tools to convincingly, I'm talking about convincingly beating Mean Machine. Respect to Mean Machine, but I just see Virgil Ortiz, he has all the tools to really beat him in a wonderful fashion, you know? So it's going to be a beautiful fight, man. So I just want to make this video to talk about that, you know, and to break that down. Link in the description. Renee Box Young is a platform. We simply discuss, critique, and analyze, simply talk about sport of boxing in level-headed fashion. Definitely, man. You know, if you're a new listener, if you love a sport of boxing, go ahead and subscribe. And I appreciate everybody's support. Hit the notification bell so you know when I do my premiere, so you can tune in real time, you know what I'm saying, and tune into my flash lives, etc., etc. The Playback Gang, shouts out to you also, man. I appreciate each and every one of you, everybody. Renee Box Young, stay safe. Peace out, fam.